Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Playing World of Tanks. I'm AJ, and today we'll be looking at something different. It's going to be the test server, and we are going to talk about the changes that are incoming for patch 9.9. None of them are as significant as they were led to be in previous like notes and some of the reports talking about it. But yeah, one of the big things is this tank is actually not coming in this patch 9.9, or at least to my knowledge it's not coming because according to developers, it just isn't a good tank. So the VK4502B is going to stay in place until they can figure out what to do about it. So no more, if you were looking forward to this tank isn't coming. So next up we have the replacement for the Awful Panther. It is the tier 7 Scout, the SP1C, and this again gets some of the interesting things that it's an interesting scout all around. They have already said they're going to buff its view range just because its view range is terrible for a tier 7 Scout. It is 380. If we go to the tier 5 Leopard, we'll see that tank actually gets 380 view range as well. So it is all around a terribly bad view range for a tier 7 Scout. Some of the other things is that it has actually no armor. So one of the other things is it gets an autoloader as its last gun upgrade. You can use this. It loads 3 shells and fires 1 after 3 seconds. And I think there's a 20-second reload in between, 20 or 38, I can't remember, but I think it's 20-ish seconds to reload the entire clip. So kind of an interesting gun. I don't know whether I'm going to be using it because I actually like a more consistent damage spread. Autoloaders are good if they're going to burst somebody down, but with the amount of damage that this gun can lay out, I don't think it can kill a tier 7 Scout, so there's no point in actually using that gun. Well, the other annoying thing is that it gets only 3 crew members as opposed to its big brother, the tier 8 Scout. So that is kind of going to be an irritation. You'll have to train another crew member up. But since the grind isn't that long, I'm kind of assuming that it's gonna be not gonna be that huge of a difference. But still, it is just a tad annoying that this also doesn't have like 4 crew members. Other thing, it has no armor. When I say no armor, it literally has no armor. 15mm is the armor at its thickest point, and a 45mm gun will overmatch your armor in almost any direction, which is terrible to say the least. The Panzer 1C, as I previously pulled up, actually has more armor, 30mm at the front, compared to almost double what the Panzer SP1C gets at tier 7. So all in all, kind of an interesting tank. I didn't play that many games in it, so can't really comment. Plus everybody's firing gold on its server, so can't really say how good or bad this tank is going to be at the end of the day. Only time will tell. Maybe once it gets released on the regular server, I might run it for a couple of games and probably give you my impressions or maybe a review about it. If you'd like to hear something like that, feel free to leave a comment or leave a thumbs up, and I'll definitely get back to that. Some of the other things about this tank is it gets the same deal as some of the new American tanks. It gets an autoloader as its last gun, and also gets a non-auto loading gun before, with somewhat increased soft stats across the board for that thing as well. So only time will tell which thing is going to be more useful on this tank. But all in all, let's jump to the HD models. Those were actually the only new tanks ever introduced, and one of them is being rolled back. First of all, if we have the AMX 5100, this got turned into HD in this patch, and they did a fantastic job on this thing. I think the previous tank that I kind of saw on the test server and was kind of amazed that the HD model quality was the M48 Patton, and this one's definitely no slouch. It's probably up there as well. Also, we have in HD is the FCM50T. And if you're wondering as to the specific order as to the HD model, the developer said that they actually don't have any specific, what you might call it, order. Since a lot of these models are being outsourced to other companies, as quickly as they can get the HD textures up, they will start implementing them within the game. So it kind of like depends, which models get implemented first. Entirely is out of their hands now. So FCM50T, kind of surprising, but actually did get turned into HD, which is impressive. Next up we have the Conqueror. Conqueror actually got a buff in this patch as well. It now actually shares its turret with its big brother, the FE215B, which was, I think, sorely needed for this thing, because this thing though has an amazing gun but has no armor, so you could not play it as a heavy tank. You would regularly get penned relatively easy in the turret if people know what they were doing. You can just take a tier 10 tank at about 260 penetration and just pen its cheeks with you know, no problems whatsoever. So this thing actually needed a buff in its turret. Though it's a great tank, it still needed you know, somewhat of that armor buff that it was actually given. The Canaran also got changed into an HD model, and you know, that's what it looks like now. And last but not least, one of the other tanks that got changed into the HD model was the Churchill 7. Now the Churchill 7 I actually don't own, just because, you know, it's not a great tank to have in your garage as well, but I guess I can buy it for you guys relatively quickly here. Let's see, let's open the tech tree, find the Churchill 7. Where is it? Ah, there it is. So yeah, the Churchill 7 actually got turned into HD as well, and if you're interested what it's gonna look like, let me just pull it up for you. That's the Conqueror, and there we go. That's what the Churchill 7 is gonna look like. So all in all, pretty good models for the HD models that are coming out. Though I think the M48 pattern still kind of like sets the bar for how good the HD models can be in this game. By the way, I'm running an HD client on my computer, so if these graphics don't mirror yours once they go in full release, that might be why. The T62A got finally turned into an HD model. This is one of my favorite tier 10 mediums to play, just because it's not as blatantly overpowered as some of the other tier 10 mediums are. It gets a punchy gun, but gets really bad hull armor. So if you don't play this tank correctly, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. But all in all, extremely great tank to play, really fun, and I'm really glad they turned it into HD. It just makes me want to play this tank even more. People were complaining to the developers that they think that this tank got buffed, nerfed, its armor got nerfed, but they said no, it's just the same, it's been acting as it was previously. So that's about it. That's the only Russian tank that's been turned into HD. Next up we have, where is it, the T110E4. Yep, the T110E4 got turned into HD. I did not buy the T110E3 because their models are somewhat similar. The only difference is you're going to see a huge mantlet in the middle, and the turret doesn't move, but that's what the T110E4 model looks like. Pretty good model. I'm not going to say it's the best, but you know, definitely not one of the worst models they have done. And next up we have the M46 Patton, which also got turned into HD this patch. And we'll come back to the M46 Patton as well at a later point. It also got buffed again. It was buffed in the previous patch, it got buffed again. So we will just talk about this tank once we get back to it. Alright, so, but yeah, I mean, the muzzle brake looks great on this thing. It's a very good looking tank now. A couple of German tanks got turned into HD. One is a premium, it's the Panther M10. And it does look really nice now with its HD skin. If you don't own this tank, I don't think it's available to buy anymore in the gift shop, so you know, if they might put it on in some kind of a package at a later date. The VK3601H also got turned into HD model, and its HD model looks really good. It used to be a really good tank at tier 6. It used to be classified as a medium tank, but it's still really good tank at tier 6. A really good heavy, kind of insane DPM for this tank. So yeah, I mean, that's about all the HD models that they have been implemented in the game. Some of them, there's a couple more, but some of them were clan reward tanks, the T23 and I think T44 with the 122, which was a super test reward tank. So those things got turned into HD as well. Now the M46 Patton actually got another buff. A couple of patches ago it did get buffed. Its dispersion on the move got reduced, and now they have buffed it yet again. And the buff is this time it's that its aim time got reduced from 2.3 seconds to 2 seconds, which is really nice. This tank really, I don't know whether it needed the buffs, because I didn't have problems playing it, but any buff on the tank is, to make it competitive is generally like welcome in my opinion. You don't want to have bad tanks in the game. Ideally you want them all to be in somewhat of a similar state. Also, its accuracy got increased to 0.39 from 0.4. So the SDA2 somewhat got a bit of love as well. Its dispersion on its gun while moving the turret got decreased by 30%. Also, its accuracy, its aim time actually got reduced from 2.2 to 2.1 seconds, which makes this gun very quick firing. Very accurate gun now to bring on target. That's somewhat. I didn't get to play the SDA2 a lot. I didn't want to get queued up against tier 10, so I can't comment on how good the changes are to this thing, or even to the M46. I guess when they go on the live server, I'll probably post somewhat of a review or somewhat of my impressions of what the buffs actually look like. A minor buff to the M48, which is not really worth mentioning even, is if you're grinding this tank with this with the gun from the M46, so its accuracy got buffed. So there's that. So you won't have to suffer through as I did with the regular gun. Oh, sorry, not the top gun, the second gun. But that's about the other thing that got changed with this tank. Other than that, the test server was some of the other things that got rolled back was there was a penetration nerf test that's been cancelled indefinitely for now. What it sounds like the developers were not happy with the results, and they're going to go back and look at some of the data and maybe come up with a new test later on. I was not that much in favor of what they were going to do with that penetration nerf, because I think it would be easier to accomplish the same results but in a roundabout way. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll keep you posted on the next episode of Playing World of Tanks.